This story is one of revenge as you play the game as Alice Landell, a female protagonist who journeys through her star system to defeat the person who killed your brother. The killer is none other than the evil ruler known as King Lassic. She must end his reign of tyranny and bring peace to the star system. Hey guys, welcome to another one of my videos, the JRPG Impressions video. Got a special guest today. He is my BFF. He is a famous rock band tour boy. He's got more groupies than you can count, at least more than I can count. He is Spike.
Spike, what up?
And nobody calls him Frankie.
No, I beat people up who call me Frankie.
Yep, that's a fact. So, have you played Phantasy Star, any of the Phantasy Star games before?
No.
Perfect. So, first impressions of this game, we're going to think about, just like some of the other ones, if you've seen them back when, you know, the Nintendo reigned supreme, you know, this is the Sega Master System, but so we're looking at late 80s. Most people at this point have maybe played a JRPG before, maybe not. Before this, we were playing games like Dragon Quest, and actually the first Final Fantasy came out just a couple days before this game. So most people didn't really even, you know, have a great concept of JRPGs. This might have been some people's first JRPG they ever played. So we got to think about it back then, you know, what it was like to them, and all the cool things that were new at the time, and, you know, intuitive and innovative and stuff. So do you have any kind of, you know, history with RPGs, JRPGs, or just gaming, and, you know, from your childhood?
I mean, I played a lot of Atari games and Commodore 64 growing up, and then I think, you know, we went from the whole Atari phase into the Nintendo phase, and it was like, wow, wow. Mm-hmm. But there were so many things like this that I've never even messed with before, or never even played before. So I'm a little anxious to see what it's like.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too back then was games were pretty expensive. I mean, new games are still expensive, but back then they were just as expensive, but without the inflation, you know, so I don't know how to say that. But back then, a $60 game cost a lot more than today a $60 game, you know. So back then you might have had a couple games and that was it. So you didn't go out buying lots of games. So, I mean, you did a lot more rentals, which we don't do anymore.
That's true. Yeah, I remember renting like Ghosts and Goblins when it first came out, and Ninja Gaiden, and
so every hard game ever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the original Phantasy Star was developed and published by Sega, originally for the Sega Master System, as we mentioned earlier. The team that created it later became Team Sonic, so they became really popular later on, but this was kind of their starting point. It was originally released in Japan in December of 1987, and in North America a year later in November of 1988. One of the biggest differences that are notable about the two versions, the Japanese release and the North American release, was the sound. Mm-hmm. So the Japanese system, the console, was the Sega Mark III, and it actually had an FM audio chip in it, which the sound was more like a synthesizer sound. It was a lot better. Where when we got the Sega Master System, they didn't have that, so it was a lot more like that kind of chiptune-y sound.
Right.
So, which most people, you know, when you grew up, that's all you had. It was awesome. The music was cool, you know. But when you put them side by side, it's like, man, that other, the one that they had was actually a lot nicer, you know, but better quality, kind of smoother, I guess. And the game was obviously super popular in Japan. I mean, it was ported to pretty much every system. So, and there was actually several games that it spun off. There's the 4 main games, and then there's several other games that have come out, like the Online and the Universe and Online 2, which is out now. There was a huge break where we didn't get any of the games, but Japan was getting all of the games. And there's still several that we never got in United States or in North America that Japan did get. So it's again really big out there. At this point, console RPGs were becoming really popular, such as like Dragon Quest. So that's why Sega developed Phantasy Star. It was kind of the response to that demand. At that point, Dragon Quest II was out and was just blowing up everywhere in Japan. So, you know, Nintendo was making a good bit of money on RPGs, and Sega Master System's like, we need an RPG, let's develop one.
Right.
As I mentioned earlier, it was released just 2 days after the original Final Fantasy. So I think it had a good bit of competition early on, you know, that it might have affected its sales, at least worldwide sales. And maybe that's also why a lot of people maybe didn't see or hear about it or know of it. because you had the big name Dragon Quest and Dragon Quest II, and then Final Fantasy popped out, and then this popped out. So if you were on Nintendo, you had there was other games too, obviously by then on Nintendo to play. This was like the first JRPG that hit the Sega Master System. So so there's probably a good bit of competition for them from the other guys. The reason I mentioned if you have any Star Wars shirts, which he's a huge Star Wars fan, so it just worked out that way, was because this game had a lot of little inspiration from Star Wars.
Okay.
So it's a fantasy RPG, but it's set mostly sci-fi worlds. Okay. And as we'll go through some things, you'll see like a lot of little things that are Star Wars and inspired, especially when we play the game a little bit. The game had the 3D dungeon exploration. It had that top-down overworld travel, random encounters, and the turn-based battle system, which most of that was known in the JRPGs in the time, or in some RPGs. But they kind of did a little bit of all of them rather than just one or the other. In the game, there are recruitable characters, which include a warrior, a wizard, and a little talking Pikachu-like cat creature, which I want to show you.
Oh, wow.
So his name is Meow.
Meow.
M-Y-A-U. And he's this little talking yellow cat Pokemon.
Yeah,
I guess.
He's got the big ears and the tail's
similar.
a little wavy, not the lightning bolt.
No, yeah. I think it's more just the overall kind of shape. And when you see in the game him running around, he follows you around and stuff, on the overview map. It's you and your different party members. Mm-hmm. And so you have this little yellow cat thing that kind of looks like Pokemon, like kind of looks like Pikachu, like Pokemon Yellow. I don't know if you ever seen it or played it or anything, but when that came out, you were running around and Pikachu was your starter, so he followed you around. Okay. And that's kind of this kind of reminds me of that. Obviously that came out way after this. Phantasy Star obviously predated that by a lot.
It's kind of like what they're doing now with the Pokemon Go, where you can set your buddy and he kind of
follows you around
too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that right there was like a kind of a callback to the older, Pokemon games, or at least with Yellow. Yellow was the first one I know that did it, because in Red and Blue we didn't have that. It was just you run around as Ash, But in Yellow you had a little Pikachu following you around. There are 3 planets in the solar system. So you have Palma, which is your starting planet, which is like similar to Earth. So there's lots of trees and water and all that stuff. Then you have Moltavia, which is a desert planet, which is a lot more similar to like Arrakis or Tatooine, which is what I said. Mm-hmm. You even have like these little Jawa-looking enemies that fight you,
nice.
And there's sandworms and stuff. And then the third one is Dozoris, which is an ice planet, which to me I'm like, that's just Hoth.
Right, right.
So some of the first in this game is one, it features one of the first female leads in video games. Prior to that, I think a year before that, Samus Aran, from Metroid, which most people didn't know until the end of it. So if you didn't beat the game, or none of your friends that you didn't know was a girl. Right. But then I think that was the year before this. But then when this came out, this was the first lead. You start off as the girl Alice, and if nothing else, it's definitely the first in JRPG games, because before that it was just you always are a knight or something that's fighting evil and saving the princess, that kind of thing. So this is more like you're a female who ends up becoming pretty badass, and you're trying to get revenge for your brother who's been killed by the evil ruler. You're still going to kill the bad guy and try to save the world. Right. Well, in this case, save the galaxy. So it's actually bigger. You're saving the galaxy, not just the world. It's also one of the first console RPGs to feature animated enemies and stuff. Mm-hmm. So most of the time they didn't do that kind of thing because they were trying to save space on cartridges and stuff. But in this one, they actually have like every enemy you fight has some sort of animation.
That's cool.
And the backdrops of the battles are fully rendered visually. So like if you're in the forest, there's forest. If you're in the mountains, there's mountains. So if you think about connecting that to something that came prior, you have, for instance, the first Final Fantasy game, which was this kind of a side. Your guys were on one side, the bad guys were on the other side. The map was basically black, and there was a little strip in the top, which would have like trees or whatever, a desert or something. And then let's say Dragon Quest, which was a little more closer to as far as the battle system, because you have the enemy in first person view. In Dragon Quest, a little window would pop up and it would have the little slime or whatever, you're fighting a skeleton, and there in that little box there was a little bit of a background, but that's it. This is a full background. So it's pretty cool. It's also the first game that allowed interplanetary travel amongst multiple worlds. So you, like I said, there's those 3 worlds, and you can actually take a spaceship from one world to the other.
That's cool.
And you kind of go back and forth, and depending on the quests and stuff you're doing. So. This is not the greatest quality, but it's the only commercial I could find, and it was a Japanese commercial. I don't even know if they ever even released a commercial in North America. Probably not. But I did find this Japanese one, so let's show you this.
Sega はロールプレイングゲームを変えてしまう。ファンタシースター。かつてない驚異のグラフィック。壮大な SF ストーリー。その秘密は4メガ。ファンタシースター。
What do you think?
That takes you back, man.
I'm thinking like you're a kid.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to see it now.
Right.
But thinking back to when you're a kid.
Yeah, the way things were marketed back then compared to how they are now is completely different too. But I mean, it gives you a little bit of a glimpse into how like that brief itty bitty part where it's like, okay, you've got somebody dressed up in costume, and then you've got this hallway that you're going down with the bricks. It's enough to be like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's like one of those mystery games, maybe something you've played before. I remember on Nintendo there was this one game. It was a role-playing game like that where you had to make different decisions, and you would fight banshees, and it would take you into different places too, and it had like, bricks and stuff like that too. So it's something you can kind of identify with. So, yeah, it's cool.
So the next thing is the North American cover art, and there's a back on there too. So I don't know if you've seen it, Sega Master System game cover arts, but that grid pattern, which is to me awful, super boring. They used it for pretty much every cover. It was pretty unifying, I guess, because, it stood out, I guess. And on a shelf, you're like, oh, there's the Sega Master System games. Sure. There's a whole bunch of them because they all have this, basic grid pattern on them. I don't know exactly the reason they did it, but they did.
And it might be just the same reason why like Xbox has the green that you can look for, and PlayStation is a little bit different too. And
yeah, but that's a little easier to, okay, I see green, I know. This is like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it. It's just bad. And this one actually, the cover art is, at least they have that kind of like, drawn pencil art on there,
right.
Whatever you want to call it. But there was other cover arts that were out at the same time that were just, 7-year-old doodle, and that's what you had, They were bad. So this one comparatively was actually not that bad.
This one doesn't look bad. The artwork on it was pretty cool. The fonts on the name of the game look pretty cool.
Yeah. It's just the background is boring as heck.
The background there's nothing really there.
Yeah.
It seems like it looks like it's trying to do something in the back there with the clouds, but then it's like, oh, grid.
Yeah. It's like they just cut it out and stuck it on there, basically. That's what they did. So, obviously they did show you some pictures in the back, which is really nice, obviously, because if you pick that game up on the shelf, you want to at least see more than what it's about.
It's kind of like how with album covers used to be too. Like you used to be able to, before MP3s and digital downloads and stuff now, you used to get an album cover and you used to take it and open it up and you would listen to the album. And you're looking at the album, or the cassettes too. They had big fold outs. You can do it too. And it was always something cool. Like you think about bands like Megadeth and Iron Maiden, and you think about the artwork that went into those covers and stuff too. It kind of intrigued you and drew you in. Yeah. I think it's the same thing with the back of it too. There was only so much your mind could let you kind of imagine from a still shot. So I thought these pictures on the back of them were really important too. Yeah,
definitely. So this next one is actually the Japanese cover. However, this is technically for the Mega Drive release of the game, which was basically their Sega Genesis. So it was technically released a little bit later. It's the same game, but it was released a little bit later. But you still get the idea, like how different their cover was versus our cover. It's like night and day.
Oh yeah, big difference.
Like if I saw this on the shelf and I saw the other game on the shelf and the name was missing, which one are you gonna pick up?
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, even though the still shots, it looks like for the gameplay on the back of it is, they still got a couple of them, but they're a little bit smaller. But the design for it and the art on it is a lot better.
Yeah, it's like top to bottom, front to back, covered in, you know, art painting, basically. Yeah. And then when you did get the North American release, you could see this was the, you know, the game case, the cartridge, the manual. There's a little map thing in there. It was just pretty boring, you know, pretty standard, pretty plain. All the Sega Master System games were like that. The cartridges were just so plain and boring.
Yeah, they are plain.
At least in Nintendo, you might have had the cover art on the outside, but then you had usually that same cover art on your cartridge.
Right. Well, even with Atari games, the 2600, they had, you know, like Missile Command or Yard's Revenge. You would see at least some type of picture on it.
Yeah.
That's just plain Jane right there.
Yep, yep. So I feel like that was part of the reason too that this didn't do so well, because if it doesn't really stand out, you know, on a shelf, it doesn't really stand out when, you know, and even when you take it home, you know, people kind of overlook it, you know,
right.
Like you don't pay attention to it, and then you see, oh, look at those Nintendo games, you know,
right.
And you kind of look past these games.
Well, marketing and stuff has changed so much too over the years too, and I think that a lot of people have noticed that, you know, simplicity for a gaming system. They wanted to try to get people's imagination involved a little bit more, and I mean, this is just dry as it comes. It's pretty dry.
I think positive is that the case that, you know, the cartridge case that it came in was that plastic case, kind of like the Sega Genesis did.
Right, right.
You know, the Sega Genesis, obviously they changed. They had nice big pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that those cases were nicer because all the Nintendo ones, at least all the Nintendo ones I ever had, I think were just that basic cardboard, which most people ended up tossing out and keeping the.
Well, you'd have a little plastic sleeve.
You got the sleeve.
And that was about it.
Yep. And unless you had the manual, sometimes you would have like a drawer with all your manuals in it. And of course, those would eventually get lost if you move a couple times. But this had those hard plastic cases, which you probably aren't going to throw away the hard plastic. I wouldn't have.
No,
I would have kept those.
Yeah.
So the next part, we're just going to look at a couple of quick glimpses into the user manual, because you know how the user manuals back then were thick. They told you pretty much not everything, but they told you everything you needed to know to get you started. Right. Sometimes they had little hints here and there because you know, the games were tough. Well, this one I just want to show you a couple of the weapons to give you an idea of that whole, you know, the fantasy and the sci-fi. So here, you know, the first weapon on this page, for instance, needle gun. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I think Halo now.
Yeah,
Halo. You have the needler and stuff. Yeah. Then you have the wand for magic.
Right.
They had the Iron Fang, which was the weapon that Mao can use, because Mao, being that he's a cat creature, you know, this is his weapon. The middle part's kind of like a leather thing that he bites onto, and then it's got two blades that stick out. So I imagine it was kind of running by and like cutting your legs or jumping and trying to go for your jugular.
That's funny.
So, you know, it's kind of a cool idea. Then you had, you know, your iron swords and, you know, ceramic swords and stuff like that. It's kind of more typical of your fantasy, you know, the shield and armor and stuff.
Right.
But then the next one is, you know, heat gun, laser gun, all that stuff, axes, and then lightsaber.
Lightsaber.
Yeah, they have a lightsaber.
Oh my god, it's even called a lightsaber.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have, you know, the wooden cane for the mage, the wizard, and then you have the lightsaber you can eventually get for
funny.
Yeah, for your main character. Pretty cool. So again, I said there's little nods here and there.
Little Star That
one's pretty much a direct tie, but the other ones are just more nods, I think.
Right.
So this one is obviously in Japanese, so I can't read it, but I try to find a couple like little ads or inserts that I can find. This one was in the Famitsu in 1988. So again, I can't obviously read any of it, but you kind of can see, you know, they're just showing screenshots, and I'm sure it's telling you bits about it to kind of sell it to you. But you can see like the layout and the colors and all that, make it look interesting.
When the Master Club, kind of like Nintendo had the Nintendo Power magazine.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that was their version of that too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Sega did have something similar. I don't know how long it lasted though.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing anything for Sega's.
Yeah. And then this was in the Sega newsletter. I think that was basically their version of the Nintendo Power, was the Sega newsletter. So this was 1988. So I'll just read like this cool part up here, just so you get an idea what it says. It says, turning a corner in the dark and dank dungeon of Medusa's tower, you suddenly see standing before you 3 very large werebats. They look mean and ugly. Should you unsheath your sword and attack them, or cast a fireball spell perhaps? Or maybe you should risk asking for directions. They might turn out to be friendly. Then again, they're looking at your neck in a rather bloodthirsty way.
Oh, well, jeez. All right.
And I love this art. I mean, we kind of seen it on the front cover, but you get a better, view of it here, nice and big.
Yeah.
This guy back here, who's his name's Odin. He's one of the early guys you find. He's literally picking up a skeleton and chucking it at this dark wizard guy. How awesome is that? And then this is
you with your own guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this bad guy and beat that bad guy. And you can't do that in the game, but it's still pretty cool. And then that's Alice in the front. She's got like this, shiny mirror shield and stuff. And there's Meow. See the blade in his mouth.
Oh,
he's also got
he's
got like padded cloths on his arms and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then there's the wizard guy you get. I think his name is Noah. He comes later on though.
Kind of looks like the Gordon's fisherman guy.
In this picture.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'd be scary.
Is that one of the werebats back there too?
Yeah, there's a werebat, a floating eye thing. Yeah. This was basically part 2 of it. Just continue telling you about, the story and stuff. Not the whole story, but it gives you, gives you a good bit about it. And there's some helpful hints here. And then Electronic Gaming Monthly in 1989. This is their version of it. So some more pictures. Experience a new fantasy, spelled, like Phantasy Star.
Mm-hmm.
The next wave in video gaming. I mean, in a way, it really was. Like I said, it had better visuals, the animation, and some really cool stuff. Being able to go to different planets, and man, it was for its time. It was literally the next wave in video gaming. Like I said, unfortunately, a lot of people in North America just completely passed on this one. Didn't even see it or didn't know about it or whatever.
When you think about the packaging of it, and like we've talked about, like how it's just plain, and if you're out buying something, you see something for Nintendo, or you see something that has more visual on it.
Yeah,
I would have passed over it too.
Yeah, and this one here came out much later. It was from the Phantasy Star Online guide, and this part of the book was called the Phantasy Star Memories, and it just touched on a few of the older games and stuff. So this one just kind of brings it up, brings up like about it and what little connections it might have had to the Phantasy Star Online games later on and stuff like that. But a lot of the games kind of jumped, from Phantasy Star 1 to Phantasy Star 2. The story was like 1,000 years later, a millennium later. And then from 2 to 4, it was another 1,000 years. 3 was kind of like its little offshoot thing. And then the online games and universe games and stuff were all basically online, so they were like kind of further removed,
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's play the game. And again, just if you tell me what you think about it, tell me what you think about the music, the graphics, just whatever. Something pops up, you don't have to go too in depth, or you don't have to. I'm not, just whatever pops in your head, like, oh, this is cool, whatever. All right, let's start this up. Like that music?
Yeah.
So even her, Alice, on this main opening scene, she's very bright, colorful.
Mm-hmm.
The font's pretty cool too.
Yeah, the font is cool. I mean, if you had something more like that on even with the star background on the cover of the game, it would be more enticing.
Instead of the grid, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's start this baby up. Space Century 342. Can meet on Palma. So can meet, or whatever it's called, is the place you're starting. So this is your brother, who just got beat up by the robot cops. Not RoboCop, but robot cops.
Robot cops.
Yeah. Wait to see what they kind of look like. It's cool.
They kind of look like stormtroopers from what you see right there.
Yeah, wait till you see what they kind of look like in the game. That's my first thought too. Is like, they're stormtroopers. So yeah, so he got beat up for for looking into the
Don't die.
Yeah, Nero, that was his name. So she's checking on him. He's basically dying, and he's like, "Hey, Lazik is a bad guy. He's gonna kill everybody. He's gonna cause, a bunch of turmoil and evil in the galaxy. And he was looking into it, and they caught him, and that's why they killed him. I tried to discover his plans, but I could not do much by myself. I've heard of a man of great strength named Odin. That was the guy throwing the skeleton. Maybe the two of you can stop Lassic. Alice, it's too late for me. Be strong.
Be strong.
I will make sure that my brother died not in vain. Watch over and protect me, Nero. So yeah, this is the beginning. Alright, so first little mini dungeon. As you can see, it's all in 3D, which again, was mind-blowing at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dragon Lair and even Star Wars, they had that one Star Wars fighter pilot game had that kind of technology too with that on it.
Yeah.
First time I've really seen those games.
That's true, yeah.
With that type of stuff on it is really cool.
So I just got a treasure chest full of mesetas. Mesetas is like this version of money. This game's version of money. So whoever's dungeon this is, they just had like a treasure chest they were hiding, and I just went in there and stole it.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how you start the game. So we can go talk to some people, see what they have to say. In some dungeons, you will not get far without some sort of light. So, all these typical older RPGs and JRPGs and stuff, you pretty much had to like kind of talk to people to figure out what you had to do. It wasn't like a guy that says, here's your quest, go here.
Yeah.
Sometimes there was, but a lot of times it was, you get the hints and stuff.
Right.
There's a spaceport to the west of Caminite. Spaceport is how you fly to other planets. Makes sense. Spaceport. I'm Nikis. One hears a lot of stories, but some say that a fighter named Odin lives in a town called Sion. So that's good, now we know that. Also, I have a Laconian pot given by Nero that would be helpful to you in your task. I wish I could help you more. Pray for your safety. So he just gave me my brother's pot, which will be useful later. But yeah. So it's kind of cool, these little capsule houses. I just think of Dragon Ball Z and time see the capsule houses.
Yeah. Just waiting for Bulma to come out.
Yeah. Let's say no, I don't know, even though we just talked about them. There are 3 planets. Palma is the world of green, which is where we are right now.
Right.
Otava is the world of sand, where the spice rules the solar system. And Dzaris is the world of ice. The crisis is that LASIK guy. His dark, basically the backstory, he wasn't always bad, but he's basically started becoming evil based on like this newfound religion or something. It's like he basically joined a cult and they slowly like turning him evil, how it goes. If you want to make a deal, you should head for the port town. Okay, cool. You gotta walk to the front because you can't talk to them from the behind. They won't turn around. Cameron resident is under martial law. That's kind of creepy. So you got a couple shops. Of course, they all just say shop, but when you go in, then you figure out what the kind they are. So
I got you.
This is an armory. Yes. I want to buy a leather shield. Thank you. Come again. So to equip it, so you got status, magic, item, search, and save. And obviously your HP and MP at the bottom. So I'll click on status real quick. Oh, I hit the wrong button, sorry. I got used to these controllers. Status, so it shows you level, experience, attack, and all that stuff. I go to magic, I don't have any right now. You automatically learn magic when you hit certain levels. So, like in Final Fantasy I, you had to like go and buy magic at different towns and stuff. And this game, which is kind of more like Dragon Quest, where you learn it when you hit the certain level. So I have, did I not buy the armor? Oh, I guess I didn't buy the armor. Whoops, or the shield. I must hit the exit button on accident. Oh yeah, I did not buy it. There we go.
There we go.
All right, so now I can equip it. let's do that again. Items, leather shield, you equipped it. There you go. All right, this shop is...
Potions.
Oh yeah, first food shop. Would you like to buy something? So let's look in here. You can buy cola or burgers. So it's kind of cool, idea. So cola gives you, I think it's like 10 HP or something back, or burgers gives you I don't know, I can't remember now, but it gives you more. So you get like maybe 50 or something like that. It might be not that much, but. So basically you can drink soda or eat hamburgers to get your health back. All right, so I'm just gonna buy one just in case. And then this last shop is the secondhand shop, yeah. So this is where you can sell your old equipment, and you can also buy like flashlight, that's what that is, flash. Escaper, which helps you get out of dungeons, and transfer, which I don't remember transfer. I think transfer automatically like warps you back to the, I think it automatically warps you back to the last church you've been to, because the church is where you resurrect people when someone dies. I'll show you that in a second. And this is Suelo. She knows just how you must feel. No one can stop you from doing what you know what you must do. But if you should ever be wounded in battle, come here to rest, please. You are welcome here anytime. So basically this is like that starting, town place where they a lot of times let you get a free, normally there's inns that you can stay at, and you pay X amount of money, you stay in it, gives you all your HP and MP back. Well, this is basically like a free inn at the starting town. So if you get low on health and stuff, you can come here. You have to pay later on, obviously, at the other towns. And this is where you go, the church, if somebody dies. So if one of your party members dies and you're out far in a dungeon, you don't have one of those teleport things, those transfers, you basically have to drag their dead body all the way back over here and then pay that guy, pay the guy with the big hat, and he brings them back to life for you.
He doesn't put them in the pet cemetery, does he?
You never know. You need a dungeon key to open locked doors. Thank you. So I think that's about it for here. The cool thing here, which I didn't notice the first time, was where we're walking around. You see, it's all walled around. The whole city's kind of walled. Yep. Well, the exit here are these little pod things, and they're basically like elevator pods. Because you see the kind of green spots in the bottom. That's the grass below you. You're actually up in the sky. So you're like on your town's kind of up on a platform, which is keeping you safe from all the monsters and stuff. So to leave, you actually go in here and down an elevator. See, now we're on the open world map. You can see that it's lifted. Right. And then that conveyor belt, there's different towns have different conveyor belts and stuff, and those basically literally are just like human conveyor belts. That one takes you over to that port, which we're not going to yet, but there's a starport. And then there's another little town right there, which we'll go to in a minute. But first, let's fight something, because we need to get some money. And like most JRPGs, they actually are pretty tough early on. You kind of have to do your grinding, you have to get the better weapons and armor and stuff. So here we're fighting this swarm, which is a giant bug. It says at the top right, it's got 8 HP. So I'm gonna attack it, because that's all I can really do. Attack or run. As you can see, I'm barely hurting it. He's hitting me, I'm hitting him.
Like the graphics and gameplay, like those little cutscenes in Ninja Gaiden where it was like that too, and it kind of uses that same type of background. And when you strike something, that little flash that it uses to kind of show you that, hey, I hit it. But yeah, it looks very similar to that too.
So yes, so a couple things to mention now you brought that up. So you get their character animation or their enemy animation when they're attacking. They all move or do something. You have, like I said earlier, the big background where in this case we're on this planet where there's mountains and forests and stuff. So which that changes based on where you are. Then whatever weapon each of your characters has, when you attack, they'll do a different animation. So right now I have this like little short sword or whatever, so it's doing that animation. But if it's the guy with the gun, it'll do like a blast. If he's got an axe, he'll do a different attack. When you get Meow, he does like a claw thing. So that is cool too, because that does change. And then it's in the top right, now you see is HP 12, and there's 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
What that's letting me know is there's actually 2 of that monster right there. I mean, you're only going to show you the one right now,
Right.
but technically there's 2 of them on the screen. And I don't know if I can kill both of them yet, but I might have to run. But let's try it, because these guys are a little harder than the other guys. But I might have to drink my cola. Let's see. If I can kill one quick enough.
Get a
Oh my
liter of
goodness, I'm
cola.
barely hurting them. Oh, jeez. See, they're getting 2 attacks, I'm getting 1, so this is not good. You might get to see what it looks like to die early in the game. But like I said, it starts off... Oh, okay.
Drink your cola.
It's not going to give me a whole lot, though.
Liter of cola.
Oh, we got it. So as you can see, the second monster in the game just completely obliterated me. And it says the adventure is over. So now I'm going to fast forward and get back in there again, because I did not save. I didn't think I was going to die in the second monster. Okay, single scorpion. Let's try this. Let's see if we can kill it without dying. I have full health, so I should be okay. So that was the other negative problem with fighting with more than one monster, is you can't choose which one you're hitting.
Right.
So when she's hitting, she like attacked that one a couple times, then she started attacking the other a couple times. So there was 2 monsters fighting me the whole entire time, you know, which wasn't nice. All right, so he's dead. So as soon as you kill him, obviously you get some experience. See, there's a treasure. You could choose if you want to open it or not, because sometimes there's a trap in the treasure, and depending on what it is and how far you are in the game and all that, it can do multiple bits of damage. So if it shoots out an arrow, what it does damage to one player.
Mm-hmm.
If it does a kind of explosion, then it hits everybody.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so if you're low on health, you may not necessarily want to open it, but...
How dare you go into battle without cola, boy.
I was just gonna get beat up so bad right away. It gets better though. Once, like I said, once you get your next sword, they die easier. You know, and then once you get your better armor, you take less damage, that kind of thing. Then once you get your first and second, characters that join your party, that helps because you have more people fighting with you. So it's really tough early on, but I mean, there's other spikes in difficulty later on. But that's how these games were. They were all about grinding for levels, grinding for gear, getting to the next area to fight the next monster, beat the next boss, do the next dungeon. And it's also funny that these like giant flies drop treasure chests. There's a flying scorpion and it has a treasure chest. There's a giant bug and it has a treasure chest.
Yeah, but that was part of the fun of games back then too, is it didn't need to make sense to make sense,
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get your stuff somewhere, somehow, right?
Well, yeah, he's got money. Okay, cool. Good. I mean, he's got a family to take care of,
Yeah, his fly family.
Taking care of all of his maggots at home.
Ew.
Got him bring beef to the table.
That girl's gonna get tired of seeing me. I offered you my house, but you've been staying way too much.
Yeah, it's time to go.
You've eaten all my food, used up all my hot water. Time to leave.
I ain't got no more toilet paper. We know toilet paper's scarce right now, so.
Yeah.
And you bring your fly maggots around.
Ew. I would say this is a futuristic world, so they probably use toilet paper. They probably use 3 seashells.
Demolition Man.
But as far as the characters, like Alice, she's a very well-rounded character. So, like I said, she gets magic and stuff. She can wear really good armor. Not the best armor, not the best weapons, but really good at really good swords. Really good shields and armor. Plus, she has all kinds of different magic, healing and offensive. So she's a really good, well-rounded character. Mao is more of a support character. So when you get him, he's not great at attack. He's not great at health, but he's got a lot more support magic. And then when you get Odin, he's the one that just he can wear the best armor in the game. He can have the best axe in the game, but he has no magic. So he's your typical fighter type,
Right.
warrior. And then there's Noah. Later on, when you get him, he's the magic guy. So.
In a lot of these games, I think too, there's always the walking back and forth. It's It's the same thing over and over and over again. And, you know, but back then it didn't matter. You just played the game, and, you know, a lot of games these days, you know, people will buy a game and burn through it within like 4 or 5 days, and then they'll be disappointed that they finished the game already. And this stuff right here would occupy you for days.
Yeah. I want you to look at the stormtroopers.
Oh yeah. More like the Clone Wars troopers, yeah.
Yeah, but you gotta think about it. That's what I first thought. I was like, oh, it's like Clone Troopers. But then I thought about it, like, but Clone Troopers didn't come because this came out after the first 3 Star Wars movies. So
a glimpse into the future.
Yeah. maybe this borrowed stuff from Star Wars, and then Star Wars borrowed stuff from this.
Right.
That's probably what it was.
George Lucas sitting around his house going, well, maybe we should make them look like this.
Yeah.
That's funny though.
Yeah.
And a lot of games and in movies and sci-fi stuff, a lot of things do borrow off of each other a lot more than what people think. And it's just funny how they pay heritage back and forth to one movie or to one event that happens in a movie that might actually help inspire something in what they film or what they make too. So
yeah, I was not ready to fight that monster, and I almost just died because
what was that?
It was called an owl bear, but it was like a flying eyeball. And I forgot that I didn't come up here and get health back, and I can't really kill that guy yet with this weapon. So I ran into the wrong monster.
Wrong monster at the wrong time.
When I hit run, he was like, you can't run. I was like, uh-oh. Look, I one-shotted that guy. Boom, see?
Nice.
Before I hit him 2, sometimes 3 times, now I can hit him once and kill him. So now it's like gonna be a lot easier to get this money. So it's like this starting town had shields. The town to the side of us had different swords. And I think the town that's over here is the one that has the different armors. A lot of games these days have different encounter rates because people used to complain about encounter rates, you know? Like you said, back then that was the thing, but now people are like, oh, it's too hard. Encounter rates are too high. I need that much. I need 200 to buy the secrets. It was mentioned in the other town briefly. Oh no, it was actually in the book, the guidebook. It said there's something about the guy that sells secrets to. He might not sell it to you the first time, but it's important to keep asking, never give up, or something like that. There was the bomb.
Oh jeez.
Ooh, there I got a level. I got a spell. I think that's it's the heal spell. I think her first spell's a heal spell. Let's see. Of course, I don't have any magic mana points yet, but yep. What the heck is that?
It's a man-eater, baby.
Oh man, let's try it. Let's see.
He's a man-eater.
He's only got 16 health, so, and I have some healing, so I think I can take him out. Oh, one shot.
Dang.
He wasn't hard at all.
He must eat little men because that was weak.
That was cool though. Well, you know what it is? I'm a female, so, you know.
You're not a man-eater, so, you know.
Yeah. I'm not a man, so
you're not a
can't eat
man.
me. Can you imagine having actual flying scorpions in the world? Like, the size of, like, a dog or something?
Yeah. No, thank you. I'll take the 0. Yeah, no thanks. Be walking down the street and all of a sudden get swarmed by a flying scorpion.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get this guy to give me his secret, which it's gonna take some coercing. I don't know who told you that. You had best forget it. We don't like your kind around here, girl.
You don't like your kind around here, boy. Oh, you're a girl.
Yeah.
You look like a boy.
I said, let me hear that secret. I'll tell you, no can do. Go on back to wherever you came from. Well, I came from across the street. Listen, sir. I want to buy your secrets. If not, I'm gonna trash this place. All right, I give up. But don't tell anyone where you got this, okay?
Okay. And what's the secret?
The secret is immortal youth. Now, all right, so if I go here to item, the road pass, that's what I was trying to say earlier.
To be able to get to the other planets.
Yep, so now,
okay.
Well, you need the road pass to get past those robot cops, or else they won't let you go to the airport, the starport. Sorry,
okay.
It's an airport, it's a starport. Come here, trooper. You may proceed. And these guys are like pushing trolleys, kind of going, see what they say. We're busy. But see, in the background changes, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Long ago, a spaceship was built in the Gothic laboratory. I actually have to go get the road pass let me get over here, but I have to go over here and buy a passport, which I think is this shop. Oh yeah. Do you want a passport? Yes. Have you ever done anything illegal? Nope. Do you currently have an illness? No, I do not have any COVID. Passport fee is 100. I hope I have enough. Dang it!
Let's go kill some more flies.
Alright, hold on. How much do I have so I know where we're at? Oh, okay. 44. We'll kill some more flies. I'll be right back. Oh, man-eater. Oh, look, he drooled on me. Did you see that? That was gross. Oh, there's that dart. Yes, I want a passport, lady. I told you I have not done anything illegal. No, I'm not sick. Yes. That was quick. Man, these days, passports take like 3 to 6 months. Yeah. Over there, you just had to say no twice and you got a passport. Yes, I do. Let's go on a ship. Yes, please. And here comes space. So we're basically flying from like Earth to Venus, kind of. Think about it, like kind of like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Desert planet. No, they're all giant ant lions. How horrible is that? Okay, let's see. I gotta go. I'm not gonna talk to all these guys right now. I just wanna go see Meow. There you go. I have a rare animal here. Would you pay 1 billion pesetas for it? No. I see you have a strange pot. Shall I trade you the animal for it? Yes. Alright. There you go with him. So basically I just gave him my brother's pot because apparently she didn't really care about it that much.
What the value of the pot is.
Exactly. She's like, I'm not interested. I'll give the pot to you.
I'm going to ask for 1 billion and then I'm going to turn around and give it to you for a pot.
Yeah.
What's in the pot?
I have this talking cat.
Yeah, meow.
If you give me pot, I'll give it to you. I don't think you need any more pot if the cat's talking, sir.
You're right. I think you've had enough, sir.
So this is Meow.
What a meow?
Meow, have you ever heard of a man named Odin?
Meow.
Yes, but he is turned to stone. If he drinks this medicine, he'll be okay. But I cannot open the bottle because I don't have thumbs. Well then, we'd better go save him. We better go save Odin together. Okay?
Okay.
So that's how you get Meow. Wait, doesn't that not look like a Pikachu?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just quickly show you how the fight goes with him on your side, and then we can wrap it up. Blast off.
Red rocket. Red rocket.
Red rocket is blasting off again.
Remember that 1942 Nintendo game?
Yeah.
That's what that kind of reminded me of a little bit.
So technically the place I gotta go is down, but I'm not gonna do it because we need to grind a little bit more for gear. Also, yeah, see now there's 3. It used to be 2. It seems like every time you add people, every time you add a character to your roster, it usually ends up being more.
Right.
Not every single time. What I mean is, you still might fight 1 or 2.
Right.
But I would have never fought 3 of them by myself.
Right.
Now that I have somebody else to help me, they're like, oh, let's throw another one in there, you know? So, see, there's Meow's claw. See, that's basically the only difference, but it's pretty cool. All right, so you saw the game.
Yep.
You saw us. Let's see what we did. We ran around. We went to a 3D dungeon. Obviously fought. Obviously got killed. Got some new weapons, armors. You got to see at least the first character that you get in the game. What do you think about the game?
I thought it was cool. Like I said, it has little things in the game that remind me of other games. You know, I think it's kind of cool that you know, you think about growing up in all the Nintendo games and the Atari games you play, you don't really. It was more male driven. It's cool to have a female character.
Yeah.
The addition of having the cat Meow following you, I thought was kind of cool too. You know, there was a game on Nintendo, Wrath of the Ninja, that I played growing up, and you know how you had to travel down all the different brick roads to get to different places, and that was very similar. The flash spots reminded me of, you know, Ninja Gaiden when you were fighting, but in Ninja Gaiden you had the bosses that pretty much the animation of them being there, to me was very similar to you know, as a fighting one. It's the graphics in the background and stuff is a lot like that too. I thought it was cool. I think it's cool. It's something that I think that, you know, you could probably play for a while and get involved in, and you know, even if you never played it. I mean, you think of the games today, and you know, it would still be something intriguing. You know, you think how Minecraft and how they brought that whole animation back into it, and the way it's all set up now. You have, you know, something like that. Like my son could go back and play a game like that too, and it would still be something that would hold his attention. So I think it's cool.
I think a lot of times, like the pixel art style, I mean, yeah, it's dated, but it's still easy for anyone to go and play it. You know, I don't think you really, until you got to like those early, you know, 3D style, like Virtua Fighters and stuff, even like the Final Fantasy VII and stuff, you know, where they were very, you know, blocky and what's the word, you know, polygons, polygon style. So it's like the 3D polygons. Those ones were, you know, it's hard to go and play those games sometimes, but whenever it comes to like the older like NES, SNES, you know, Sega, stuff like that, I think it's always, you know, you can go back and easily just play them whenever. As long as you're in that headspace, you know, that you know, like, I'm playing this old game, you know.
Yeah. And the fun thing about games like this too, though, is they don't have to have a narrative. You know, I mean, sure, you'll have a little quest thing to take you on it, but there's so many games growing up that you would just pop in and play, you know, and then the graphics didn't really matter. That's why, you know, like consoles, they're going back through and releasing these mini consoles of it. That's why people still buy them, because the infatuation with that feeling, that kind of game. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Yeah, and the big reason I do like these JRPG Impressions videos is because I wanted to go back and see the old stuff and go through them and, you know, stuff like that. But also I think it gives you that big, you know, deeper respect for the games that you're now playing, you know, to see how far they've come and what you can do now, you know. Absolutely.
So I mean, like this game, like you saw, for its time, I mean, the Sega Master System graphically and stuff was better than the NES in most cases, in most games and stuff, you know, but the NES blew it out of the water because they did everything else better, you know, as far as marketing and you know, like you said, even just like the case, the covers and all that stuff. So
and character development, some of the character development too. I mean, I mean, you think about Mario, Super Mario Brothers, but
Yeah.
Mario was around before Super Mario Brothers, so it's something that they just kind of built on that character too. So, I mean, I agree with you 100% there.
Yeah, Nintendo had a lot of big winners, big time. That's for sure. So, but yeah, I mean, this game was, again, minus the cover art or the basic, the basicness of it. Maybe if you played it, even now, like you said, if you play it now on some of the newer consoles where they've added stuff, like if you play it on, you can get on the Switch, you can download it on the Switch and play it, for instance, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
But what they've done is they have the option where you can play the old version like this, the original version, or you can play, basically it's just a more modernized version. It's still the same game, but what they do is they like increase the amount of money you get and the amount of experience you get, and they lower like the encounter rates and stuff. So it can be more enjoyable for people who don't want to sit there and grind a lot. Right. So you can still play the game, see what it's all about, get through it. It won't take you as long then, So it's cool that they do that, so people can at least go through and play them without having to own an master system or having to go find an old ROM, online, emulate an old ROM and play them and stuff. So, or have the time. Sometimes people don't have the time to just grind out,
Constantly going at it.
Yeah, but
no, it's a cool game, man. I would, I would get it and like Gavin play it. He would, he'd definitely enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on my channel. You guys, you guys, subscribe and like if you haven't already. If you have any comments, let us know. We'd like to hear stuff, especially if you played this game before. Some people, I know this could have been the first JRPG they ever played, or even the first RPG they ever played. Other people never even seen it before. Some people, some people they're just now hearing about it for the first time. Or some people heard about Phantasy Star once Phantasy Star Online and Universe and stuff came out, because those are, pretty big this last decade. So let us know what you think. Thanks for coming on my channel.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, peace, love, and cheese.
Cheese.